Alright, wait, let me double check that. Alright, we live from the 5. Alright, you guys, what's going on? Y'all, it's your boy 3 Stacks in this thing, baby, representing Team Kings of Games. I'm back in my hometown. I was just visiting my family in Cali. I'm back from my hometown. Now I'm in Vegas, and definitely had a good time. It was well needed. Man, I hadn't seen a lot of them in like 6+ years since I had moved originally, like when I just left, and it was just a blessing to get to see some of them old faces, man, and they just triggered a lot of euphoria, and I'm just really happy that I got to have that experience. But now we back on the grind, you guys, because I definitely feel like you guys are owed a lot from me, and I know it's not like literally a job requirement like I work for you guys, but I definitely feel like you guys are owed a lot of content due to my lack of consistency in the few past weeks, and I noticed that, and I'm pretty sure people are cognizant of that as well, and are like, what's going on with 3 Stacks, why isn't he been uploading? And it's just, you guys, I just always have to keep saying it over and over and reiterate, because I'm getting new subscribers and people that know, and then sometimes people haven't known because they weren't subscribed before, and they don't know what's going on in my life, and I do a lot outside of Yu-Gi-Oh! And that's all I'll say. Like, I just do a lot outside of Yu-Gi-Oh! And I'm an aspiring artist, like singing, rapping, poetry. Like, I'm trying to make that happen, So when I'm making moves for myself, like, don't take that personal. I'm just trying to make sure that I'm going to be successful in my life, you feel me? So it's nothing against y'all. It's not like I'm being lazy with the content, but you guys definitely deserve it. So I'm going to get a lot of content as much as I possibly can with the free time that I have. So today I'm going over gimmick puppets for you guys. I apologize if you felt that ramble was unnecessary, but I personally feel it was necessary for the subscribers who had questions, and I hopefully those answered it. So we're going to get into the main deck. I did convert to Danger Engine just because the Dangers really assisted in giving me better turn 1 plays, more spot removal, draw power, loading my graveyard, and giving me access to generics really helps too. So we're going to start off with the main deck. This Gimmick Puppet deck is catered to going second, and it does have a cheesy win condition with Mystic Mind and with Mystic Mind and Baby Leo, but we'll get there. So starting off with Jury Doll, she's pretty much the center of your deck once you set up your plays, and she's one of the freest fodders ever. Like, it's like you can be in top decking situations and you can still get back into the game, because if you just top deck pretty much any machine and she's in your grave, you can make a Chimera Doll play, and that can get you a lot of resources and get you right back into the game. Just because she's a constant resource every single turn. It's like a little Salmon Great Foxy or a Spinny. This deck doesn't have that level of recursion to that magnitude or degree, and it's not comparable to the consistency or recurability of Salmon Greats, but it's just nice that a decent low-tier budget rogue deck has that kind of recurability every turn in that consistent manner. So she's definitely good. She does restrict you into only gimmick puppets, so keep that in mind. So she's good in her own rights, but there are scenarios where she's not going to help you out as much as you want her to. But she's nuts with Reckless Summon and Machine Dude. And then we have 3 Bisque Dolls. I consider her to be her sister. Bisque Doll and Jury Doll paired with other cards is just really nice to see these two in your opening hand in tandem with other things, because this provides protection from targeting and also just ditches Jury Doll right where she needs to be. And any other special or normal, like if you have Magnet Doll, you can just link those two into a Chimera Doll and make your plays from there. And we also play 3 copies of Magnet Doll. It's a free summon. It's like a little Cyber Dragon for the deck. You have to control all gimmick puppets, and your opponent has to control a monster. This is really like a going second deck. It seemed, even when Konami made it, it seemed to be a going second deck because its turn 1 plays are garbage. It sets up 0 interruptions and can't disrupt with spell speed 2 effects. This deck's full of spell speed 1 effects that are really good with spot removal, but because of that, it's terrible going first. So this card is also terrible going first because, again, if your opponent controls a monster and all monsters you control, so Magnet Doll, if you're going first, is absolutely a dead draw. It's either fodder or it's trade-in bait, basically. So it's a good card in its own right, but when a smart player makes you go first, this is one of the deadest cards you'll ever draw unless you get lucky and they Phantasmate you on the Chimera Doll. Then your opponent controls a monster. So that's just a piece of advice for you guys, because keep in mind always when you're playing a going second strategy that you will run into smarter players that will force you to go first, knowing that your strength lies in going second. You have to compensate for that through your side deck and your main deck as well. So keep in mind, knowing that that's a weakness to your strategy, you should mitigate that with your card choices and the text that you incorporate in your deck. 3 Gearspring Spirits. It does have a restriction with the Dangers. I know that there are varieties of hands where they can conflict, but I also, my mindset on it with the Dangers and the Gearspring, because this requires for you to have only machines in your graveyard. So I see scenarios testing where I see Dangers and Gearspring Spirit. If I cannot summon Gearspring Spirit before resolving a danger, I'll risk it for the biscuit, summon a danger. And if the danger doesn't get discarded and I have a way to set up for Gear Spring, then I'll just special it that way. But otherwise, it can be a Lore of Darkness fodder, trade-in fodder, danger fodder. It can be, discard fodder for whatever I need it to be. But it doesn't conflict as much as people would think. On pen and paper, it looks like it. This card is really good. It helps you with your OTK strategy. It targets a monster on the field and makes its attack 0, and that's not once per turn. It must first be specialed from your hand. So a cool interaction with this and Inferno Reckless Summon is if you have specialed one prior and it's in the grave and it was successfully summoned properly and you special another one from your hand, you can Reckless Summon and bring the other one back out. So it's a valid target for Reckless Summon once you summon the first one properly and get into other copies later on the duel. So it's a pretty nice card, and in its own right, it already solves a lot of issues that this deck has. It's a really good card, I have to say. And the dangers, obviously I'm only playing the level 8 ones because this deck is a hardcore rank 8 spam strategy. The rank 8s are where it's at. You do have rank 4s, and I feel you can play level 4 dangers, but this deck has enough rank 4 fodder. As you'll see, the remainder of the monsters are all good for rank 4 fodder. These, like I said, they provide spot removal, draw power, firepower just to help my OTK strategy. And going first, because Jury Doll is pretty much her mechanic keeps me from getting into generics, I have to use cards like the Dangers now. And now it becomes more difficult because this is what I really want you guys to get where I'm coming from as a Gimmick Puppet player. Going first, your Magnet Doll is cut off. And also, you can use your Jury Doll all you want, but you can only summon cards that won't do you any justice on your opponent's turn. So, effectively, Jury Doll and Magnet Doll are completely dead going first. Absolutely dead. Because you can probably resolve her for Link Fodder, and that's the best you do. But you do not want to summon strings or a grinder ever and just leave them on your field to get killed. That's a waste of resources. So these 6 cards are dead, and I noticed that testing a lot with Pure, so to compensate for that, again, you've always got to mitigate your weaknesses. I felt this danger package was really necessary, like extremely necessary. And again, if you guys notice, as my deck profiles change and progress, that's because the longer I test it and the more I play it, I start to notice those weaknesses and problems, those issues that arise through strenuous playtesting, and I like to solve those and then come back to you guys with an updated profile so that you yourself, if you have ran into that problem, you'd be like, oh, dang, 3 stacks, thank you, bro, or something like, or oh, bro, I ran into that same problem. Like, I want to make sure that you guys also can get the same understanding and concept from the deck that I'm getting. So we have 2 copies of Destroy, which is basically Destroy. We have 2 Humpty Dumptys, 2 Terror Babies. We have 2 copies of Egghead and 2 Gear Changers. These 2 monsters can make themselves level 8, so they also can be pretty flexible in the terms of making rank 4s or rank 8s. So these cards are like a sweet spot and a median. But these are specifically catered to enabling rank 4 plays because Gigante's Doll, when you resolve Terror Baby Engrave and activate Gigante's Doll, it's a safe play. It can't be stopped. Your opponent can respond, so you can forcefully take your opponent's monsters away without them having anything to do to stop you. So it's another really good way to like great boards going second, especially when you're taking cards like Colossuses, like Thunderbolt monsters, because also if you read it, it can take monsters with the level and then it can use its effect to make the monsters a level 8. So even if you took control of a Titan, you can make that Thunder Dragon Titan into a level 8 and overlay their fusions for your rank 8 and continue breaking their board. It's really nice. So having access to the rank 4s also gives you more options for spot removal, and in the terms of breaking boards, it raises your ceiling exponentially. This card in itself deserves to be played at 3, but I noticed the issues of drawing it too extensively. Like it's so hard to find the proper ratio. So I was like 2 is just gonna be the sweet spot for now. But it is an insane card for the simple fact that once you read it fully in the text, it does not say you can only use this. Like if you read it, it literally nothing says you can only use any of these effects once per turn. So you can normal it as many times as you want, and if you banish it and your opponent negates it with the Jackal King and you can get another one engraved, you can just banish that and prevent your opponent from responding again. So it's like a good reason for wanting to play 3. I might just bump it because the dangers do help out with hands with multiple Terror Babies. And then for spells, I play 2 Mystic Minds, 3 Allure Darkness. Now, you guys might think it's weird for the Mystic Mind because I am playing an OTK strategy, but I know, I've learned in testing that sometimes when you play against good decks like Pendulums and Thunder and other decks that have so many interruptions, they eat up a lot of your resources while you're trying to bait those negations, and sometimes you can't break the board. So what happens is you need to simplify that game state expeditiously, and once you do that, the card you're going to summon is Leo. Now once you have established that setup, Leo's effect is able to resolve for the simple fact that this is in a field spell zone and it is not in a spell or trap zone. That is a legal ruling. That is why Salamangreat Heat Leo cannot target Orchestrated Babel and shuffle it, because it's in a field spell zone. So activating Mystic Mind not only protects your Leo, but now if your opponent doesn't top deck a Twin Twister in the next 2 turns, you're going to win the duel. Because second you summon this, your opponent has 2 more turns left, because you're already going to put a counter on him, and he needs 2 more to win. So now they have 2 turns to find a way to deal with this lock. And it's a soft lock. If they break it, it's fine, but it makes it even harder. So it's another win condition that I felt raised the ceiling of the deck, because you got to think, if your only win strategy, if your only win condition is OTKing, that is extremely glass cannon, and that's very, very risky. So if you want to play glass cannon, go for it, but I feel that this is another win condition that really helps if you want to play this deck a lot more competitive in comparison to just only locals. So Mystic Mind is really good. You have enough draw power, so 2 is enough for me, and it's not that serious that you need to play 3. It's just an extra win condition. Then we have 3 trade-ins. I think I have 18 targets. I play 2 advanced draws to finish up with the draw spells. I play 8 draw spells. You can tribute a level 8 or higher monster from your field to draw. So in really good top deck situations, you can just draw this, activate Jury Doll's effect from grave, and tribute her off, and pretty much just draw 2 for turn, which is nice. You can just upstart yourself. And then now we have some playmakers. This is probably the best spell in the deck, and I'm so glad I finally got my playset. I would never play this deck without this card unless I didn't have it. That's the only reason why I would never play. That's the only reason why you would ever catch me with no Infernal Reckless Summons in my deck list, is if I just don't have them. Because I feel this card is that serious. This card is insane. Especially with the new Master Rule coming into play. When your opponent has an XYZ monster or a Synchro or any extra deck monster, like especially XYZ, you can force them to bring out more XYZs. And now that's food for Giant Grinder, and you can burn your opponent to death before going to battle phase, because he inflicts damage based on original attack. So a prime example is your opponent could have like Ding Girsu or something. You could force them to summon out their other Ding Girsu, and then you can grind them both up and burn for 54. The other thing is this is an extender. It's not even once per turn, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it's not, and you basically need to be going second to fill the requirements. And the other thing is, while you are giving your opponent more monsters, sometimes they can't even summon those monsters, because like right now, like if they don't have zones, they can't even get more out of their extra deck. So it's almost sometimes it's more free for you than it is for them. But it's also still necessary, because again, Gimmick Puppets want your opponent to have special summon monsters. Like this deck thrives off of your opponent making active plays. And then I have 3 machine duplications. It's kind of like interchangeable Reckless Summon. I just don't value it as high as Reckless Summon, because it's not as versatile. But at the same time, I will say this. Machine Dupe is easier to resolve than Reckless Summon. Reckless Summon's harder to resolve, but it pays you out more. Like, it has a higher reward at the end. But I'll definitely say play both of these cards at 3. And then I play 1 Junk Puppet. And finally, the best one-ups in my deck are Rank Up Magic Numeron's Force and Quick Chaos. Numeron's Force is really nutty against, like, when you play Pendulums, this deck can be so crazy when you're able to just make strings attack over the Jackal Kings and then go main phase 2. Just activate this, and if they don't have any spell trap negations, you can finish off their entire board. Like when you play against Thunder and they have only Appaloosa, like if they have like Appaloosa and like Colossus and stuff, you can just Numeron's Force their entire board, and then you'll activate strings, put counters. Like if they Appaloosa, it's fine, but you can Numeron Force their whole board, negate the entire thing, and then you can nuke their field with cards like Dark Strings and also the Giant Hunter. So these are really crazy, and this is also a good card for going first, because you can set it in your back row and it can be a reactive card. So it's really good. That's the main deck. And then for the Gimmick Puppet Extra, I played 2 Chimera Dolls. This card definitely helped the deck. What's up, bros? Oh, no, you good. So this card definitely helped the deck a lot. I feel that Gimmick Puppets definitely deserve this, and I'm glad that Konami was looking out for us. And this changed the game a whole lot, because now any 2 machines can be full combo practically. So another thing you can do to make this deck more consistent is put splashable machines that special themselves for free. For example, Solar Windjammer, Cyber Dragon. You can even special Cyber Dragon, Contact Fuse for Chimera Tech Mega Fleet, and then link off with the Gimmick Puppet and that, and still make Chimera Doll. So you can even play, why are you knocking it down? You can even play Cyber Dragons in your main deck. So that's another thing that I want to share with you guys that you can do. And then we have one Cleaver Genius, because when you're going first, you can't open zones with this and then summon generic. So when you're going first, you have to open zones with Genius and then put your generic rank 8s, like your Titanic and your Photon Lord right there. So you can set up negations and protect yourself. Because this deck can get one turn and kill you on the next, on the follow-up. Then we got my rank up targets, Dark Strings and Giant Hunters. This combo is really crazy. If you resolve strings, you'll nuke an entire field, burn your opponent, and draw a card, and you'll still get your battle phase, which is crazy. And this gets nuttier with Junk Puppet, because you can activate a second copy of strings, and then activate Junk Puppet to special this back from your grave, and trigger its effect to nuke again and draw. So it's pretty good. Then we have 2 copies of strings, 2 copies of Giant Grinder, which I feel the ratios just need to be 2-ups because you still need your generics. And then I play 2 Giant Dolls. So all of these provide spot removal. This destroys special monsters. This is probably my favorite because it baits out 2 Appolution negations, which is nuts. So this deck plays through Appolution pretty easily. And then this card is just insane because it's an easy to summon 3k beater. Sometimes I'll just go into battle phase, attack over Endymion, attack over Jackal King, attack over Appaloosa, and then make my play break their board in main phase 2. And Giant Dolls is just insane, you guys. The card is a double mind control. That's crazy in its own right. Then it helps your rank 8 plays. And then we have Leo, which is literally an Exodia for the deck. And with Mystic Mind, it's nigh unbeatable. Because the other thing is, who's going to side back row removal against a Gimmick Puppet deck? So it's a really safe play, I feel. Then we have Titanic, Sky Prison, and Lord for my turn 1 plays. And that is my Gimmick Puppet deck profile, you guys. I really hope that you enjoyed it. I know I went in pretty depth, but also just keep in mind, I'm very passionate about this deck because this is actually used to be one of my favorite decks back in the day. When Number Hunters released these cards, I was messing with these the Gimmick Puppets a lot. I did lose favor in them and kind of lost interest for a while, but my passion got re-sparked. So I'm definitely enjoying the deck again. Thank you guys so much, and peace out, yo. And definitely don't hurt your brain self. Make good choices. God bless you guys. Y'all have a wonderful day.